The practice of tranquility, the dhyana paramita. Then Subhuti inquired of the Lord Buddha, saying, Suppose a good pious disciple, either man or woman, having begun the practice of attaining Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, should still find his mind disturbed. How is he to keep his mind tranquil? How is he to wholly subdue his wandering thoughts and craving desires? The Lord Buddha replied, Subhuti, any good pious disciple who undertakes the practice of concentrating his mind in an effort to realize Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi should cherish only one thought, namely, when I attain this highest perfect wisdom, I will deliver all sentient beings into the eternal peace of nirvana. If this purpose and vow is sincere, these sentient beings are already delivered. And yet, Subhuti, because if the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas have kept in mind any such arbitrary conceptions as one's own self, other selves, living beings, or universal self, they could not be called Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. And what does this mean, Subhuti? It means that there are no sentient beings to be delivered, and there is no selfhood that can begin the practice of seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. What do you think, Subhuti? When the Tathagata was with Buddha Dipankara, did he have any such arbitrary conception of the Dharma as would warrant him in seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi intuitively? No, blessed Lord, as I understand what thou hast said to us, when the Lord Buddha was with Buddha Dipankara, he had no such arbitrary conception of the Dharma as would warrant him in seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi intuitively. The Lord Buddha was much pleased with this, and said, You are right, Subhuti. Speaking truly, there is no such arbitrary conception of the Dharma as that. If there had been, Dipankara Buddha would not have foretold that in some future life I would attain Buddhahood under the name of Shakyamuni. What does this mean, Subhuti? It means that what I attained is not something limited and arbitrary that can be called Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, but is Buddhahood, whose essence is identical with the essence of all things and is what it is, universal, inconceivable, inscrutable. Supposing, Subhuti, there should still be a disciple who asserts that the Tathagata had some ideas about the Dharma that warranted him in seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Be it understood, Subhuti, that the Tathagata truly had no ideas of the Dharma that warranted him in seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. The Lord Buddha emphasized this by saying, Subhuti, the Buddhahood to which the Tathagata attained is both the same as Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi and not the same. This is only another way of saying that the phenomena of all things is of one suchness with Buddhahood and Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, and that it is neither reality nor unreality, but abides together with all phenomena in emptiness and silence, inconceivable and inscrutable. Subhuti, that is why I say that the Dharma of all things can never be embraced with any arbitrary conception of phenomena, however universal that conception may be. That is why it is called the Dharma, and why there is no such thing as the Dharma. Subhuti, suppose I should speak of the largeness of the human body. What would you understand by it? Honored of the worlds, I should understand that the Lord Buddha was not speaking of the largeness of the human body as an arbitrary conception of its phenomenality. I should understand that the words carried only an imaginary meaning. Subhuti, it is just the same when Bodhisattva Mahasattvas speak of delivering numberless sentient beings. If they have in mind any arbitrary conception of sentient beings or of definite numbers, they are unworthy to be called Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. And why, Subhuti? Because the very reason why they are called Bodhisattva Mahasattvas is because they have abandoned all such arbitrary conceptions. And what is true of one arbitrary conception is true of all conceptions. The Tathagata's teachings are entirely free from all such arbitrary conceptions as one's own self, other selves, living beings, or a universal self. To make this teaching more emphatic, the Lord Buddha continued, "If a Bodhisattva Mahasattva was to speak like this, 'I will add embellishments to the Buddha lands,' he would be unworthy to be called a Bodhisattva Mahasattva. And why? Because the Tathagata has explicitly taught that when a Bodhisattva Mahasattva uses such words, they must not hold in mind any arbitrary conception of phenomena. They are to use such expressions merely as so many words. Subhuti, it is only those disciples whose understanding can penetrate deeply enough into the meaning of the Tathagata's teachings concerning the egolessness of both things and living beings, and who can clearly understand their significance, that are worthy to be called Bodhisattva Mahasattvas." The Lord Buddha then inquired of Subhuti, saying, "What do you think? Does the Tathagata possess a physical eye? Does he possess the eye of enlightenment, Subhuti?" "Certainly the Tathagata possesses the eye of enlightenment. He would not be the Lord Buddha otherwise." "Does the Tathagata possess the eye of transcendental intelligence?" "Yes, Blessed One, the Tathagata possesses the eye of transcendental intelligence." "Does the Tathagata possess the eye of spiritual intuition?" "Yes, Blessed Lord, the Tathagata possesses the eye of spiritual intuition." "Does the Tathagata possess the eye of a Buddha's love and compassion for all sentient life, Subhuti?" Subhuti assented and said, "Blessed Lord, thou lovest all sentient life." "What think you, Subhuti? When I referred to the grains of sand in the river Ganges, did I assert that they were truly grains of sand?" "No, Blessed Lord, you only spoke of them as grains of sand." "Subhuti, if there were as many Ganges rivers as there are grains of sand in the river Ganges, and if there were as many Buddha lands as there are grains of sand in all of these innumerable rivers, would these Buddha lands be considered as very numerous?" "Very numerous indeed, Lord Buddha." "Listen, Subhuti. Within these innumerable Buddha lands, there are every form of sentient being, with all their various mentalities and conceptions, all of which are fully known to the Tathagata, but not one of them is held in the Tathagata's mind as an arbitrary conception of phenomena. They are merely thought of. Not one of this vast accumulation of conceptions from beginningless time through the present and into the never-ending future, not one of them is graspable." The Lord Buddha resumed, "Subhuti, if any good and pious disciple, either man or woman, were to take the 3,000 great universes and grind them into impalpable powder and blow it away into space, what think you, Subhuti? Do you think this powder would have any individual existence?" Subhuti replied, "Yes, Blessed Lord. As an impalpable powder, indefinitely dissipated, it might be said to have a relative existence. But as the Blessed One uses the words, it has no existence. The words have only a figurative meaning. Otherwise, the words would imply a belief in the existence of matter as an independent and self-existent entity, which it is not. Moreover, when the Tathagata refers to the 3,000 great universes, he could only do so as a figure of speech. And why? Because if the 3,000 great universes really existed, their only reality would consist in their cosmic unity. Whether as impalpable powder or as great universes, what matters it? It is only in the sense of the cosmic unity of ultimate essence that the Tathagata can rightfully refer to it." The Lord Buddha was much pleased with this reply and said, "Subhuti, although terrestrial human beings have always grasped after the arbitrary conception of matter and great universes, the conception has no true basis. It is an illusion of the mortal mind. Even when it is referred to as cosmic unity, it is something inscrutable." The Lord Buddha continued, "If any disciple were to say that the Tathagata, in his teachings, has constantly referred to himself, other selves, living beings, a universal self, what do you think, Subhuti? Would that disciple have understood the meaning of what I have been teaching?" Subhuti replied. No, blessed Lord, that disciple would not have understood the meaning of the Lord's teachings, for when the Lord has referred to them, he has never referred to their actual existence. He has only used the words as figures and symbols. It is only in that sense that they can be used, for conceptions and ideas and limited truths and dharmas have no more reality than have matter and phenomena. Then the Lord made this more emphatic by saying, Subhuti, when disciples begin their practice of seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, they ought thus to see, to perceive, to know, to understand, and to realize that all things and all dharmas are no things, and therefore they ought not to conceive within their minds any arbitrary conceptions whatever. The Lord Buddha continued, Subhuti, if any disciple bestowed upon the Tathagata as alms an abundance of the seven treasures sufficient to fill the innumerable and illimitable worlds, and if another disciple, a good and pious man or woman, in his practice of seeking to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, should earnestly and faithfully observe and study even a single stanza of this scripture and explain it to others, the accumulated blessing and merit of that latter disciple would be relatively greater. Subhuti, how is it possible to explain this scripture to others without holding in mind any arbitrary conception of things and phenomena and dharmas? It can only be done, Subhuti, by keeping the mind in perfect tranquility and in selfless oneness with the suchness that is Tathagatahood. And why? Because all the mind's arbitrary conceptions of matter, phenomena, and of all conditioning factors, and all conceptions and ideas relating thereto are like a dream, a phantasm, a bubble, a shadow, the evanescent dew, the lightning's flash. Every true disciple should thus look upon all phenomena and upon all the activities of the mind, and keep his mind empty and selfless and tranquil.